When I asked my channel's members about what type of LEGO Minecraft dungeon I should make, I was kind of expecting the vote to lean toward a spider dungeon. After all, I did just realize a few weeks ago that there are no regular spiders in the LEGO Minecraft world at all. Just a lot of cave spiders down in the Dripstone mineshaft. But several people had an even better idea that was just too good to pass up. What if I essentially recreated one of my favorite sets to be its own module in the world? 21189 The Skeleton Dungeon was one of two surprise sets revealed at LEGOCon in 2022. The set features a dungeon that is generated at the intersection of a dripstone cave and a lush cave. I won't yap about the set too much here because I've got a separate review video if you're interested. But anyway, the more that idea sat in my mind, the more excited I got about bringing the Skeleton Dungeon to the LEGO Minecraft world. We have plenty of dripstone caves, but yeah, most of our lush caves have been pretty thoroughly buried away. And for me, that settled it. So with that decided, I think it's time to get to building. Today's module will be a 16 by 32 stud underground module. That equates to 8 by 16 blocks in game, and if I'm not mistaken, the underground modules are 13 blocks tall, plus one plate on the bottom. That'll give us more than enough room to put in one of the larger 5 by 7 dungeon rooms inside. This module will be the last of the 4 corner underground builds, following in the footsteps of the Deep Dark, the Amethyst Geode, and the Dripstone Mineshaft. Eventually, this will be added beneath the Mesa Badlands area in the back left corner of the display. As a corner module, that means we want to decorate 2 sides as opposed to the usual one. We'll be filling the corner bit with all sorts of great lush cave details. I'll be sure to add a few jumpers in the water here so we can add some drip leaf plants, and we'll even throw in a bit of tiling right now since these little water indentations will be a bit trickier to access later on. Here's how things are going to look on the other side. I always love the look of the transparent blue water bricks. The next step is going to be laying the foundation for the dungeon itself, which I'm going to tuck kind of away hidden in the wall over in this right corner. Kind of like how you'd find it in the actual game. I especially want to put a lot of detail into the flooring of the dungeon to make it stand out against all the dark gray blocks that will be around it. This is what I've come up with. I'm using the same mossy cobble design that you will have seen me use on the Jungle Temple before, and of course the familiar cobblestone design that's all over the display. This densely packed pile of plates is going to fit tightly into the floor space that we've carved out for it. I love stuff like this in the LEGO Minecraft world. There's just so much detail to take in, and these blocks I feel are instantly recognizable. We'll also need to add the other essential elements of the dungeon, including a chest, which is somewhat functional. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of them in here because who wants a 1-chest dungeon after all? The spawner design is quite fun. Historically, I've used nozzle pieces to create this effect, but with the relatively new 2-long bar, I can squeeze the microscale skeleton head on the inside. I have no idea who was the first person to try this technique, but it's absolutely brilliant. I'm really glad I'm finally able to incorporate it here. It's just one of those, again, small details that adds a lot to the build. And then to top it off, we had better add some skeletons in here too. After that, I'm going to focus on building up the walls, scattering some 1x1 round light bluish gray tiles in there just to give some of that cobblestone texture without being overwhelming. This too will mirror other structures that you find in the display. I'm also taking care to add some ores and other details into the walls of the caves to keep things fresh and exciting. This here is my copper ore design that I developed for specifically the Dripstone cave modules. It makes use of a dark orange quarter tile just to add a little bit different of a texture than you're probably used to with the other regular ores. And I've also hidden some diamonds too beneath the dungeon. It just breaks up all that dark bluish gray quite nicely. And with the floor finished off here, I think we might as well tile it off. With everything looking delightfully smooth, it's time to revisit our jumpers from earlier so we can add in our drip leaf plants. But beyond that too, we'll add some of the other plants you can find in the lush caves, like our flowering azalea bushes and some short grass. There's not a ton of space available here, but with what we do have, I want to make it as lush as possible. I mean, it is called the Lush Caves after all. Remember too that we'll also have plenty of glowberry vines hanging from the ceiling as well. We'll get to those in a sec. From there, I'm going to finish off the rest of the dungeon wall, and then you'll notice that I'm tiling things off here. That's because we'll be building the roof upside down, much like we did for the previous dripstone modules. This technique has undoubtedly been a game changer for the LEGO Minecraft world. 2x2 inverted tiles are awesome for building the ceilings of caves, but the reality is that it's just not made in every color yet. And it's definitely not made in green, which is quite unfortunate when building a module like the Lush Caves. But even beyond that, it's going to be a lot easier to attach the vines from the ceiling too, because we can just use regular 2x2 jumpers instead of doing some sort of crazy inverted techniques. In game, I essentially planned the floor and the ceiling as separate 32x16 modules. That way, with just a few screenshots, it becomes really easy to replicate each, and we can combine them together in glorious fashion. The other perk of having two modules is double the tiling time, I suppose. Things are looking pretty good. That little raised red section is going to be the lock that holds this in place, since there's no stud connections. Next, I'm going to add the hanging vines. These are a combination of several techniques that I've seen over the years, and yeah, they look better than the old blocky flower stems I've been using. There's a lot more detail, and I can even add some glowberries in there really easily. Now, let's combine these two sections together. Isn't that satisfying? I think this is only missing one thing, and I know some of you are going down to the comments section to ask already, but don't worry, I've included some lights to light up the spawner. I've got some trans yellow and trans orange bricks above it just to give it that nice warm glow. Lighting logistics are kind of a pain on a model this big with episodes that have to come out so frequently, but I will do my best to continue to add lighting where I can. It does add a lot to the display. I especially want to add it in the blue flames once I do an Ancient City portal build. As for finishing touches, I think I'll throw another skeleton in here to match the original set's 3, and then this will of course be a great place to add yet another player. I'm actually going to steal the Cave Explorer from the previous Lush Cave modules to place down here. That should really sell the connection to the Skeleton Dungeon set. And we might as well move some of the axolotls down here too so that they're easier to see. If there's still some excitement around it, I'd consider doing another larger underground Lush Cave expansion. It's a really fun biome to build and a great break from the usual gray on gray on gray you see in Minecraft caves. I've even left that far side open just in case, so we could connect the expansion here in the future. Let me know what you think of that, and if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see in a large Lush Cave module. But that's gonna about do it for this episode. For the next episode, we're going to be building a highly requested expansion, another Cherry Blossom Grove module. As much as I love our existing Cherry Grove, I've gotta admit that one single tree just isn't quite doing it for me, even if it is one of the largest individual structures in the LEGO Minecraft world. If you're interested in supporting the series as we get closer and closer to completion, please consider becoming a channel member. As a thank you for your contribution, you'll get access to an exclusive members-only Discord, and better yet, you'll be able to watch that new episode right now. No waiting required. But thank you all for watching, and if you've made it this far, I'm gonna commit cringe and ask for a like. Apparently, that does actually help. Alrighty. Take care and have yourself a fantastic 2025.